Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 3737 AM. Today's date is September 23rd, 2025, and the title of the episode is We're Witnessing the Controlled Demolition of the Central Bank and the Rise of Bitcoin and Gold. What I find very interesting, that 1 in 4 low-income households spend 15% or more of their income on energy bills. This leaves many families having to decide between putting food on the table or paying their power bills. Since 2022, retail electricity costs have increased faster than the rate of inflation. This is why I use this magical little device and would never go a month without it. It is state-of-the-art energy-saving tool that minimizes dirty electricity and environmental impact. This gadget can be effortlessly connected to any regular electrical socket and employs advanced technology to oversee and fine-tune energy usage in your household. By scrutinizing and modifying the electric current, it can notably diminish the quantity of energy consumed by your home appliances and gadgets without impairing their effectiveness or operation, and help support lowering your energy bills. Do your wallet a favor and grab one while it's on sale now for up to 60% off only at don'twastepower.com before your next pricey power bill comes in. Plus, if you order now, you'll also get a 60-day 100% money-back guarantee and several other bonuses. Once again, that deal is only at don'twastepower.com or click the link in the description. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum, they are now panicking because they are starting to see that Trump's mission is not just to implement tariffs, to have really low energy sales and drill for oil. They understand he's coming for them. He's coming for the central bank. He's going to destroy and basically restructure the entire system. And this is what they're most panicked about. And when people start to look at, the tariff system, the gold card, energy sales, drilling, and people are saying, well, these tariffs aren't good for the economy. You know why? Because if you look at liquor and you look at other products, this might be passed down to the people and it's going to get more expensive. And this is going to be a disaster. And what he's doing is a disaster. But you have to remember something which is very, very important. He's not doing this so the tariff system coexists with the central bank system. He's doing this because he's going to replace the central bank system. And think about when people say, well, this is going to be passed down to the people. People are going to feel the inflation. Well, inflation is created when you devalue the currency. Secondly, the tariff system that Trump is developing right now and the central bank system, they really can't coexist. It's really not possible. This is why when the central bank system comes into existence, what happens? They get rid of the tariffs. When the tariffs are there, what happens? There's no central bank. And think about it. When people say, well, these tariff systems are not going to be good for the economy because the products that are coming in here, there's going to be tariffs on them and they're going to be a lot more expensive. Well, let's ask a simple question. Since Trump is moving to restructuring the entire system, and he gets rid of the central bank, and this is the most important part of it, and he gets rid of the internal revenue, which means the central bank is taking your money, your hard-earned money, and they're saying, we're going to take a piece of this action. So if you're making 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 or 90, they're taking money from you. And it could be 10,000, 12,000, 15,000. So here's a simple question. Since Trump is creating this system, he's creating tariffs, and he gets rid of the internal revenue, and he gives you back the money that the central bank was taking. Do you really care that the product is $1, $5, $10 more expensive? I don't think people are going to care. Now, let's add on top of this. You have to remember the central bank system causes what we look at it as inflation, which means it's the devaluation of the currency. So if we're getting rid of the central bank system or restructuring the entire system, and Trump is going to say, okay, we're going to go to sound money, which I do believe is going to be gold and Bitcoin. What happens to all the inflation? It's gone. Once we pay off the debt, which I do believe he's going to do, that means you get your buying power back, which means you have the ability to purchase a lot more than you did before. See, right now, it takes a lot of those pieces of paper to buy a product. It's going to take less of those pieces of paper to buy the same product. This is why when you look back in time and you go, wow, look back in time, back in the 1800s, you can go into a store with a penny or a nickel and look how much you can get. You can go with $1 and you could probably, buy groceries to feed your family. That's buying power. That's what Trump is doing. So when people are talking about tariffs and what he's doing with the economy, it's not so that system and the central bank system exists at the same exact time. The central bank system will be removed. What will be left is the tariff system. You'll get all your buying power back. You won't have to pay income tax. The expenses to the government will be paid via the tariffs, via the gold card, via the energy sales, via the technology sales. That's where Trump is moving all of this. And right now, we're in the transition phase. We are building a new system. We have an old system that exists, and they're now both here. And this is why people are a little confused. This is why people are a little bit afraid. This is why people are saying this is not going to be good for the economy. But you have to remember, in the end, the central bank system will no longer exist, and the Internal Revenue Service will no longer exist. That is the entire plan right there. Trump is going after the central bank system. He's getting rid of the fiat world that we know today. It's hard for people to wrap their brains around it, but that's where all of this is going. And you have to remember, the deep state players, they put everything into motion. The central bankers put everything into motion. They started the Great Reset. They started the Green New Scam. And now it's completely and utterly falling apart around them. And I think Trump needed to show the American people and the people around the world how the Green New Scam really destroys economies. He was speaking in front of the UN today, and he said the following. Greg Price put this out. If you don't get away from the green energy scam, your country is going to fail, Trump says. If you don't stop people that you've never seen before, that you have nothing in common with, your country is going to fail. You're destroying your heritage. And he's absolutely right. If you look at Europe, what did they do? Go to Spain, go to Portugal, even parts of southern France. A snake oil salesman came to their door. The snake oil salesman says, listen, we're going to help the environment. We're going to have free energy. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to use wind. We're going to use solar. And all you have to do is get rid of gas, oil, nuclear. Destroy all those. Get rid of it. And you will have the power of the wind, the power of the sun. You will have all that energy. And these countries, Spain, Portugal, and parts of southern France, they went along with it. And you know what happened? Well, it looks like electric is very, very expensive. And they lost electricity for something like 12 hours or so. And you could see that they fell for it. And Trump is letting them know, if you continue down this path, it's really going to destroy your country. And while the snake oil salesmen were selling the wind, the sun, and everything else, they were telling banks and financial institutions. You know what I find very interesting? That 1 in 4 low-income households spend 15% or more of their income on energy bills. This leaves many families having to decide between putting food on the table or paying their power bills. Since 2022, retail electricity costs have increased faster than the rate of inflation. This is why I use this magical little device and would never go a month without it. It is state-of-the-art energy-saving tool that minimizes dirty electricity and environmental impact. This gadget can be effortlessly connected to any regular electrical socket and employs advanced technology to oversee and fine-tune energy usage in your household. By scrutinizing and modifying the electric current, it can notably diminish the quantity of energy consumed by your home appliances and gadgets without impairing their effectiveness or operation, and help support lowering your energy bills. Do your wallet a favor and grab one while it's on sale now for up to 60% off, only at don'twastepower.com before your next pricey power bill comes in. Plus, if you order now, you'll also get a 60-day 100% money-back guarantee and several other bonuses. Once again, that deal is only at don'twastepower.com or click the link in the description. Don't finance gas, oil projects whatsoever. Don't even look at them. And now Trump is going to the World Bank and saying it's time to reverse this. It's time for the World Bank to reconsider oil and gas financing. So Trump, he's advocating for the World Bank to increase its financing for oil and gas projects And he wants them to prioritize energy security, especially for upstream gas developments, and also extends to other development banks to finance fuel projects. The U.S. is also pushing other development banks to finance oil, gas, pipeline projects, and much more. And you could see that now he's going to be reversing everything that they put into place, which means you're going to see the solar, the wind, it's all going to start to fall apart. Everything the World Economic Forum, everything the central bank wanted, it is now utterly falling apart right in front of their eyes. And every day that passes, Trump is building the parallel economic system. It's getting stronger and stronger every single day. And soon it will be more powerful than the central bank system. And once it reaches that point, people are really going to take notice. Now, I think along the way, what Trump is going to do, he's going to start weeding us off the central bank system. And I think this is why he began saying no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. And I do believe eventually he will get to the point where he'll say, listen, those people making under whatever the number is going to be, 50, 70, 80, 100,000, whatever that number is, you don't have to pay income tax. We got you. We're going to use the external revenue instead of taking it internally, which is going to return the buying power back to the people. And the people will go, holy crap, look at this. Do tariffs bother me? Absolutely not. Why? Because I just got $5, $10, $15, $20, $25, $30, $35,000 back. And now it doesn't really bother me whatsoever. Thank you, President Trump, for giving back my buying power. And he didn't even give back the entire buying power. But I do believe that's where all this is headed. And this is why Trump is working so quickly to negotiate deals with all these different countries and actually bring investments into this country so people can have jobs. Can you imagine returning the buying power back to the people where people are working all these jobs and they don't have to pay income tax? Where's all that money? Where do you think it's going to go? It's going to go back into the economy, which means we're going to build the economy so fast, it's going to make the central bankers' heads spin. They won't even know how to stop this. And the people, forget about that. The people are going to see this and they're going to say, holy crap, this is the most wonderful thing I've ever seen in my life. I can't believe I'm living in a time where I have all this buying power, all this money, and I don't have to give it away. That's what people are going to see. And Trump, he just announced another deal. He put this out on Truth. He said, earlier this month, I spoke with the highly respected president of Uzbekistan. Today, I want to congratulate President on signing a great deal with Boeing, worth over $8 billion. Uzbekistan Airways is purchasing 22,787 Dreamliners. This will create over 35,000 jobs in the U.S. The president of Uzbekistan is a man of his word, and we will continue to work together on many more items. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And every day that passes, what is Trump doing? He's making more and more deals. And this is being done at a rate that is absolutely incredible. And the central bankers, the deep state players, they never expected this to happen this quickly. And you can see they're really floundering right now because they thought they were in control, which they are not. Trump now is slowly but surely taking control of what the Federal Reserve is going to do. And you can see he already has his man in there, Moran, and he was already saying, listen, I don't want a quarter point. I want a half a point. Now he's saying, I want even more. And once we get rid of Cook, we're going to have the leverage that we need to take this economy to the next level. Remember, he's still playing within a central bank economic system. And he's doing all this within a central bank economic system. He's still using their fiat currency. But you could see that sooner or later, he's going to break free of it. And the people are going to see it very, very clearly. And what's very interesting is Trump is letting everyone know, and I think there's different agendas associated with this. He's telling the European countries that China and India, they're funding Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And he's trying to say, listen, we need to place sanctions. We need China. We need India to stop selling the oil. We need to end the wars. Now, yes, I do believe he's bringing attention and focusing everything on the EU, saying, listen, it's your fault that this is happening. I need you to work with me to stop this. Now, of course, we know the EU, they want war. But why else is he doing this? Well, I do believe that this is all because he's preparing everything where he's prepared and ready to demolish the central bank system. Joe Lange explains. Has anybody connected the dots? Have you noticed the recent moves Trump has made against India? Weren't Trump and Modi really good friends in his first term? The media described it as a bromance. What changed? The men shared bear hugs, showered praise on each other, and made appearances side by side at stadium rallies. A big optics boost for two populist leaders with ideological similarities. Each called the other a good friend. In India, the bonhomie between Prime Minister Modi and U.S. President Trump was seen as a relationship like no other. That is until a series of events gummed up the works. It seems that the bromance has ended in Trump's second term. From Trump's tariffs and India's purchase of oil from Russia to a U.S. tilt toward Pakistan, friction between New Delhi and Washington has been hard to miss, and much of it has happened far from the corridors of power, and unsurprisingly, through Trump's posts on social media. It has left policy experts wondering whether the camaraderie the two leaders shared may be a thing of the past, even though Trump has stopped short of referring to Modi directly on social media. Notice that most of the dispute happens on Trump's social media. Narrative deployment. First, Trump arranged a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. Then Trump warned India to stop buying oil from Russia. India ignored Trump's warning. Trump imposed a 50% tariff on most U.S. imports from India, making good on a threat to punish one of the world's largest economies over its purchases of discounted Russia oil. The key is a global supply chain. Is Trump really punishing India for purchasing Russia oil, or is Trump purposely restructuring global supply chains and using tariffs to do it? Why? Trump then did something else. President Trump signed a proclamation on Friday to raise the fee for H-1B visa applications to $100,000, setting up a new barrier for companies to hire foreign workers. Adding a $100,000 fee to every hire through H-1B visa program would end most of the H-1B visa applications. This will have a big effect on India. Commerce Secretary Harold Lutnick said that the new fee will prevent companies from training foreign workers and instead encourage them to hire Americans on a new front in the Trump administration's crackdown on immigration. Is this more punishment towards India? Is Trump trying to pressure India into a trade deal? Is that what's happening? Can I offer a different possibility? If Trump is conducting a controlled demolition of the world's centralized debt system, what would be the best way to remove the fiat dollar as the world's reserve currency and move towards a decentralized world system that protects the sovereignty of each country's currency? Help to accelerate the de-dollarization around the world. Encourage other countries to cut back on their use of fiat dollars in global trade, especially for oil. Do you think that it's just a coincidence that the 5 original BRICS nations are getting high tariffs in Trump's second term, helping them separate from the debt system? Brazil because of the prosecution of Bolsonaro, Russia sanctions because of the war, India because of Russian oil purchases, China because of a huge trade deficit, South Africa because of their racist land confiscation policies. High tariffs have been put on these 5 BRIC nations in Trump's second term for a reason. Is Trump purposely accelerating the de-dollarization from the BRICS nations in order to wean the world from using the fiat dollar for the world trade, in order to encourage the world to use their own currencies for world trade? Separating them. A controlled demolition of the world's debt system. Sovereignty is being made great again, all planned. And if you like to read his articles on his Substack, that's a good place to go. And you could see that, once again, Trump now is setting all this up. Now, I do believe this also has to do with the EU, and he's putting up a lot of pressure on them to have peace. And again, they really don't want peace. And that's why most likely they won't do what he wants them to do. And I do believe he's setting them up. But we'll be talking about that a lot more in the political report. But the other thing that we could see right now, since Trump now is destroying the central bank system, he's demolishing it, he's now giving rise to Bitcoin. He's giving rise to gold and silver. And we can see the gold and silver, they're continually moving up. Bitcoin, yes, it's going to move up higher. And you're going to see more and more people start to use Bitcoin. And eventually you're going to see that I do believe that this country is going to have gold as a backstop for confidence. And we're going to have Bitcoin to make it easier to do transactions. And I think a lot of countries are going to follow suit. The Kobesi letter on X put this out and said, a recent Gallup poll on crypto. Only 14% of Americans currently own any form of crypto at all. And it is highly likely that the majority of that 14% does not have material exposure to crypto. 21% of the respondents are either intrigued or will probably buy in the future. If you're bullish crypto, then mass adoption is all that matters. 401ks are the next piece to the puzzle. And that is very interesting because that is the next piece of the puzzle. We'll be talking about that in just a sec. But since there's not a lot of people using crypto or they own crypto right now, and this was done on purpose by the central bankers, they tried to convince people that it was evil to have cryptocurrency, that only criminals use it. It's used for money laundering. Actually, the fiat currency, the Federal Reserve note, that is really used for money laundering. Criminals use it. Banks allow this to happen. And they try to keep people away from cryptocurrency. And basically what's going to happen as time goes on, Trump is going to allow the use of cryptocurrency. And people are going to be able to use it to pay. And remember, he already removed the rule where you can use cryptocurrency, I think something like under $600, and you will not be taxed on that. So every step of the way, he's going to be removing the regulations. He's going to allow more and more people to use it, and you'll be able to use it to purchase items. And you could see that what's going to happen in the future is that you're going to see a surge in people using cryptocurrency. Now, what's very interesting, and Bitcoin Magazine put this out, the SEC is going to create new rules to allow crypto companies to launch products in the U.S. without complying with previous regulation requirements, calling it an innovation exception. So this would create a temporary or conditional safe harbor for cryptocurrency companies, letting them test and release new products like tokens, trading platforms, or DeFi tools in the U.S. market without immediately navigating the full suite of existing security laws and approvals, which have historically been slow and expensive. Under current SEC rules, many crypto assets are treated as securities, similar to stocks, requiring companies to register offerings, undergo extensive reviews, and comply with disclosure mandates. This process can take months or years, stifling innovation and pushing firms offshore. The exemptions aim to fast-track launches by waiving some upfront hurdles, providing a stable platform for experimentation. It targeted the implementation by December 2025, potentially aligning with broader White House efforts to clarify crypto oversight. Implications for crypto firms: easier entry into the U.S. market could boost competition, attract investment, and accelerate products like stablecoins or NFT platforms. For investors, more options but potentially higher risk if oversight is highly initially, though the SEC emphasizes this as a balanced step toward clearer rules. The signals of regulatory thaw under the new administration, moving away from the enforcement-heavy approach of prior years amid growing pressure from industry and lawmakers for crypto-friendly policies. This isn't a done deal yet. It's a proposal under development, but it marks a significant shift toward fostering U.S.-based crypto growth. And what's very interesting is that we now have Bitcoin company Fold, which is now collaborating with Stripe and Visa to launch a Bitcoin credit card. So is this going to make it a lot easier for people to use their cryptocurrency to purchase items? Absolutely. And then we have the Trump administration and the SEC. They're now going to allow, or they're urging, the U.S. lawmakers are urging the SEC Chair Paul Atkins to implement Trump's executive order that would allow Bitcoin in 401ks. Now, once this is allowed, and people now can take cryptocurrency, place it in their 401ks, what is going to happen? People are going to own it. People are going to understand it. Since we have a deal between Fold and Stripe and Visa to launch a Bitcoin credit card, it's going to make it a lot easier for people to what? Purchase items using crypto. So is this the push? I do believe so. And I think in the end, we're going to see gold rise. We're going to actually see silver rise and Bitcoin. I do believe that is the new group of currencies that this country is going to use in the future. And every step of the way, you're going to see that as more and more of these mechanisms are put into place, you're going to see that the central bank is getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And Trump is going to be transitioning people into the new system. And yes, are we going to use gold? Of course. Gold has been around for thousands of years. We hold a lot of gold in this country. I do believe we do. And this is going to give the people the confidence. And gold, most likely, just like with every other nation, it will be used as the national currency. And I do believe Bitcoin will probably be used internationally, and you could probably use it in your country too. But I do believe we're going to see both of these emerge as the currencies of all the different countries. And the people are going to start to understand and realize that everything is about to change. And as Trump continually builds the parallel system, you're going to see his system getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And you're going to see the central bank, the deep state players, their system is going to get weaker and weaker and weaker, especially when you start weaning the people off of the old system. Because if you don't have the people and you're not borrowing, the system becomes very, very weak. And if you start paying down the debt, it gets weaker and weaker every single day. And this is what I do believe Trump is doing right now. And in the end, we're going to see a whole new world. And I think this is why Trump continually says we're heading into the golden age. Listen, everyone, thanks for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.